Wake from reality. Wake to live. Wake from your dream. Wake to see. Wake from the fear that is tearing at the seams.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Odyssey of Truth with Lorenzo. And we're going to have a chat about non-compliance or maybe uncompliance and how it sort of fits into what's going on in the world today. So welcome, Lorenzo.
Hey, Cambell, nice to see you here again. I'm delighted to be talking about non-compliance. Something been in the works with us for a few weeks now. I think it was worth the gestation period. You know, it seems to me, you know, having watched what's going on right now, it's a topical topic to discuss in relation to the Odyssey of Truth.
It definitely is. And of course, yeah, everyone probably knows there's, you know, no one gives a truck anymore, right? There's convoys going on all over the place. So, but, you know, is this good? Is this bad? Where's it leading? Who's leading these things? You know, as the WHO said, we don't want to get fooled again, right?
Non-compliance. Let's say I would like to, I'm going to like put a few things out that I've been sitting with, or one thing anyways. So non-compliance, obviously, as the definition means, you don't comply, you don't listen, you don't do what you're told, you don't act on something that you don't want to act on. You simply refuse to listen to anything that doesn't, let's say, jibe, and maybe an old style way of looking at it, with your integrity.
I feel like I've got an afro.
Yeah, I got a bit of an afro. I was younger in the 80s or 70s when that was kind of, so it doesn't jibe or it doesn't align with your integrity. Yeah, I would say non-compliance.
Exactly. And I think that's the big part, is this has all got to do with you, like how it feels with you. Like, what are you you know, it's no use joining, you know, the crowd and being non-compliant just because everyone else is, because that's just following. So yeah, I just want to make that point. This has to be a personal thing.
And you get to look at, I would say, you know, something I'll bring up early in this conversation, both sides of non-compliance. You get what you give. So I'm thinking fighting for someone to change and fighting for someone to do something and fighting for someone to listen to your point, even if it's a valid point, even if it's a good point, even if it's an intelligent point. And I've had to sit with this being the so-called business I'm in, or the media company I work with. Non-compliance has to go both ways. I would think, in order for it to be authentic. In other words, you can't expect anyone to listen to you if you don't want to listen to anyone. Everyone's got to figure things out for themselves. You know, non-compliance going both directions.
Yeah, this is a big thing I'm seeing at the moment. Everyone's running around, you know, how dare they tell us what to do? No mandates, no this, no that. And then most of them get online and they're like, you should do this. This is the way we should do it. Listen to me, right? And it's like, do you understand what's going on? Do you see what you're doing? You're now acting as the government, the people you say that you don't want to be ruled by. And this is a big thing. It's freedom is allowing other people freedom, right? This is, if you don't allow other people to do what they want, even if that's driving a car into a brick wall, then you're taking away their choice and freedom. And this is the thing. Yeah, this is doing my head in, this whole seeing this play out. Because, you know, you get what you give, right? So just, yeah.
Looking for a new ruler, looking for a new politician. Cambell and I touched base with this before we got on the recording here. It's like, this guy is bad, this guy's bad, but this guy is good. This guy, you know, or this lady has done bad, but this lady's going to do good things. And overall, if you're just replacing, you know, goodbye to the old boss, welcome to the new boss, much the same. I think there was the 60s song about that. It basically, you know, changes nothing if you're allowing someone else to make the choices that you should be making for yourself. As far as figuring out what it is you need to be compliant with and uncompliant with, or discompliant. And I would say you have to figure that out for yourself, whatever that is for your particular stance in life.
You have to be compliant to your own ethics and moral fiber. And just as an analogy, it's like having a big truck, right? And it's breaking down and it's leaking oil over the road and it's spewing out black smoke everywhere and it's driving down, and people go, oh, you know what we need to do? We need to change the driver. Quick, get another driver in there. It's the machine behind the person at the front that's the problem. Okay, it's not the person that is shown. And this is the thing. And all these people that, you know, we know what's happened with elections, right? I mean, and you've got to ask the question, has any country actually elected any of their leaders at all in the last 50 years? I mean, that is a valid question. And I would say, no, we haven't. And even if we did, they give us the choice. Here's your 4 people or your 2 people. Which one do you want? So it's not a choice. And going along with this and, you know, trying to, you know, replace the new boss with you know, replace the old boss with the new boss. It's worse than every time this has happened. The person they replace it with is always worse than the person that they get out. So it's going backwards. It's playing. We got to be smarter, guys. We're at a point now where we can really do something, but we got to be smart. I just watched a video from Howdy McCoskey, and he was saying, you know, do these people, what do they want? What's the aim? What's the goal? Great, you're all there. You're all there. Now what? What are you doing? What's going to actually affect change? Because if you're there yelling and screaming when you got no point, then, you know, there's no point. And if you're just saying, well, you people need to step down so we can replace you, well, again, you're being duped. You know, that's so. And I've looked at this from the start as this system it's the system that's the problem. And so many people want to hold on to it. They want to hold on to their job and their house and just keep going and not really have to take on the responsibility of building a new world, right? Living without someone telling them what to do. And this is where we are. We got to get responsible and grow up. We don't need mummy and daddy anymore. And just something else I've got to say, like these protests, every time they're there, the bloody police in their little stupid blue uniforms walk down beside, you know, they're always there walking beside the protesters like, oh, yes, we're keeping everyone in line. Yeah, we're the teachers. We're your mummy and daddy. Guys, if that's happening, if you're protesting, you got a stupid little person in blue, you should be berating them constantly, telling them to get away, that they're not one of the people. What are they doing there? Because this is part of the thing. This is part of the mindset. Even when people are in freedom, they got bloody police on both sides going, okay, walk this way. No, you can't go down there. You can be free down this street. Guys, wake up.
I mean, I can recommend 2 other YouTube channels that will give both sides of this picture. I would say one from, you know, a left brain perspective, one from a right brain perspective. And Larkin Rose, he's done some amazing videos on what's going on, you know, on the sickness, I guess, of believing in politicians, the sickness of believing in the statism, as he calls it, as a religion. And as he said more eloquently than I can, you know, democracy at its heart is mob rule. If you think about it, right? 62% can tell 38% what to do, or even 51% can tell 49% what to do, and that's not freedom. Because if you heartily disagree with even 80% of the people, that's your business. You can and should be able to do that. And if you look at Chiron Last, I've mentioned his channel before, very deep, very chewy stuff. He goes, I guess, deeply into your consciousness, how you believe what you believe, why you believe what you believe, and why it's supremely important to pick up your own freedom and make choices for yourself, and to figure out why and how and who you are, why you got here, and what you believe and what you want to believe, and where you want to go and where you don't want to go, and to be conscious of that. And it comes back to what Cambell and I are saying. I mean, at the heart of both of those is listen to yourself, and that's it. You know, non-compliance from any outside rulers.
Why anyone thinks this? Yeah, why do people think they need a rule? This has to go. And you know, like Lorenzo said, freedom is freedom for everyone. If someone wants to, you know, sit on their block of land and paint rocks or whatever, and you don't like it, well, bad luck. You go into your house and you do what you want to do. It's got nothing to do with you. And this is what we keep saying. It's got to be from inside, internal, because people run around and they live externally. It's you painting your rocks that's making me angry. You're the problem. No, guys, 100% of the time, if you want to find the problem in your life, go to a mirror. That's it. You are the problem. You cause every problem in your life. But you're also the solution for every problem in your life. And you're also the creator for everything in your life. It's you. Everything good or bad, it's you. I'm sorry if that doesn't gel, but that's the truth. It's the truth. And we know this because people sit there complaining and blaming the world. Oh, it's the world's fault. I never have enough. Does that work? Does the world go, oh, sorry. Okay, everyone, 7 billion people, they don't like it. Everyone change, do something different so that they get what they want. Has that ever happened?
I mean, and even if that happens, hasn't anyone here seen an only child, a spoiled man or a spoiled girl growing up whose parents did say, yes, we'll change everything you want, listening to your voice, or give you all the money you want, give you all the candy you want? They're impossible. They're impossibly stupid, usually, and obtuse and hard to work with, simply because they never had the challenge of figuring out that their challenges were their own. And someone kept saying, yes, we'll change for you. Yes, we'll change for you. Yes. And they're reprehensible monsters, in my opinion.
They are.
And
we're going to have a massive problem. Now people are letting their kids think that they're cats and things and different genders, and they're going along with it. Seriously. And I'm serious. People, like, there's adults out there that are letting their 4-year-old kids identify as cats, and they meow to them. I mean, imagine what kind of an adult that is going to produce. I mean, seriously, it's just.
I saw a guy in Japan in a park once. It was Hanami, which is flower viewing, and he brought his bunny rabbit in a little pink tutu, an outfit, to have a picnic with. So I would say maybe this is the kind of. In answer to Cambell's question, I remember looking over and going, "Is that a rabbit? Is that a little pink dress on the? Is he having a little picnic?" And I'm going, and the little rabbit was in a baby carriage, I have to say, and I'm going, "Oh, isn't that interesting?" I wonder what kind of parents this fellow had. That he's sitting in the park and having a picnic with his bunny rabbit. It was a cute bunny rabbit. I don't know if I was a rabbit if I'd want to be in a little pink dress, but it's a little bit. And there you go. So, the end result of insanity is pretty much insanity, probably, I would guess. And, who doesn't feel that, well, we need strong people in the world, whether they're men or women, to help society grow into the ways that perhaps everyone can benefit from.
We get hardened in the forge, right? Growth isn't easy. Birth, should we even use that word anymore? But being born is not an easy process either. All change is not easy. That's why it's called change. If it was easy, it'd be called the same. I mean,
sure. Where are all the religious people? Live and let live. Where's that one? How about he who hasn't done the sin, let him cast the first stone? If you're a Christian sort of fellow, turn the other cheek. Like all these things, like it's all about non-compliance in its way, right? It's all about and allowing others to do what they want to do. So if you're religious, you're not religious, you're a scientist, you're an intelligent person, you're a reasonist, you have reason. Any of these things, you've done some studies in philosophy or even psychology. It doesn't really take, in my opinion, too much of a leap of understanding to see, mob rule is bad, and trying to tell someone what to do all the time, other than, don't hurt anybody, which is fine, do no harm. After that, do what you need to do, is probably the way that all of us can grow up and enjoy life.
And I mean, look at religions, right? Like you said, that's in the book, right? The good book. But now there's priests who say you can't come into, the house of God unless you've had that thing in your arm. So these people, I mean, that's going against, why is there not an outcry about that? Because that's going against the word of God, right? And we hear from Christians so often, oh, it's against the word of God. That's blatantly thrown in your face. And that's another thing, right? The Christians have been, some people, they've been locked out of their churches for a year and a half. And they're taking it, as in what? It's not their church. Whose church is it? The government's. Well, if the government owns the church, they own your religion, and it's no longer a religion. I mean, anyway, I'm going to shut up.
I'm going
to shut up because a sense of humor is superior to any religion so far devised.
I would have to agree. I think the best religion is a sense of humor. Religion just simply means how to relate to the world anyways. And, if you don't take yourself or other things seriously, you really and rarely get stuck in an anger. And maybe that's one of the best ways to begin your walk to non-compliance. Have a sense of humor.
And there's your little bunny friend. He's escaped. He's got the dress off and he's found his bunny. Let's live as bunnies. All right.
Free bunnies.
This is the thing, right? Religion, like you said, it's supposed to be about living a good life, right? A good life is a happy life. Rules don't create happiness. I mean, obviously, morals and ethics do. But as far as rules, they don't create happiness. They don't create individuals. And that's really all you get from religions. I mean, think about it. If you are religious, what are they telling you in church? Are they telling you, look, here's a parable. What do you make of it? Oh, what do you make of it? Fred, what do you make of it? Joe, how about you, Mary? Oh, let's discuss and see if we can get a deeper meaning from this. No, it's a man in a dress with a stupid hat telling you how to interpret it. Okay, that's a rule. So there you go. Religions, right? And of course, a lot of people say religion, right? Build the army.
Go out in the woods, listen to a bird, see what the animals have to say, talk to the wind, watch a flower, all of these things. Figure out for yourself what, if you believe in a higher power or God or a spirit or Buddha or whatever you want to call it, is trying to show you by how it's making this world, instead of what, some man in a dress or a lady in a high heels is trying to tell you is the truth.
And even, with the, new age spiritual, kind of thing, movement, it's the same thing. It's just dogma. Like what actual information are we getting that's new, that's helping people? Are there less starving people? No. Are there less homeless people? No. In fact, every year there's more of those. How about suicides? Not going up every year. So what's the what are these religions and gurus and all these, what are they practically doing? Where's the evidence that, because this is the thing, unless you've got, results, then you got nothing, right? You're just talking, or you've got a dream that you're building. You've got nothing. So this is another thing. And all these gurus, and you know who I mean. We've got the more spiritual types, who sit on their cushions, and then we've got the types who, have their big conferences with 10, 20,000 people. Basically, it's the same message. Where have they been in the last 2 years, guys? These people who tell you to be your best, you're powerful, you can do whatever you want, you're free, you should live free, you should create your own world. Where have they been in the last 2 years? What have they said? Who's come out and supported us from that group of people? I mean, seriously, name one. I can't think of one.
Oh, where's what's his face? The Dalai Lama. Where's
Dalai
the sad
Lama. Sad guru?
Who's sitting with Klaus Schwab not so long
I
ago.
was going to say, I've seen that photo. Yeah.
Yeah. Where's Sai Baba's followers? And all of these other sorts of people that were all about freedom and what to do. I mean, where are these people that say, want a vaccine or not? It's up to you. Do what you want to do. You don't have to listen to the government. You're free. Where are any of them? Where are any of the religious leaders? Any of the major religions that are saying it's up to you? I haven't seen one. No. It's suspicious.
Very suspicious.
Very suspicious.
And as we can see on the screen, our way must be never knowingly to support lies. And this is why we've got to go deeper and think about these things that are ingrained. Because the thing about religion, it's much like the shape of the realm we live in. It's hammered into you from day one what it is. You must believe this. If you don't, then you're stupid or you're evil or you'll go to hell. Guys, that's a story. That's for kids. That's for little kids. We're grown-ups, okay? We need to start acting like grown-ups and understand that people, what's that saying? It's easier to convince a man, it's easier to fool someone than to convince a man he's been fooled. Is that right? Yeah.
Might be the case.
We've got to understand, guys. Yeah. We've all been lied to. We've all been fooled. But if you hold on to that and you can't get past it, then they've got what they want. If you go, I got lied to, I'm going to, go down a different path, then you're making a change. But this whole, like, you know, no one has come out, not one. You know, Tony Robbins came out like last year and did like a little video that went around a bit, but he didn't really say anything, really. And I think he had like a new book or something as well. But one video in 2 years, even if he was, it's not enough. I mean, these are people who are saying, let's get together, we're the power, and they're literally trying to create movements, right? Well, you know, movements in their bank accounts, maybe. So, and this is the thing, and all the music as well, right? We got to really look at this for what it is. Music is another thing, right? That there's a saying, music is the only thing that bypasses your mind and goes straight to your heart. So we get emotionally linked to it. But then we get these people, right? You know, obviously Neil Young, Joni Mitchell recently, two of the hippies who in the 60s were singing about freedom, throw the system down, let's go create a new world. Now they're saying, if you don't comply, you can't have my music. A twisted system, right? We're not going to take it. Well, unfortunately now, unless you do take it, you can't go to one of their concerts. You know, the Foo Fighters, right? Who's the pretender? They're the pretenders. Because again, you can't go to their concert unless you're jabbed.
Yes, where are all these anti-establishment so-called musicians that I like too, and I grew up listening to? You know, we've been fooled. You know, April Fool's Day, they took us and they misdirected us. So instead of following your own passion for being free at the time, you let their music kind of give you that feeling for 5 minutes or 3 minutes or however long the song was of being free. Yeah, the system's got to come down. Yeah. And then what do you do after that? Well, you go back to work, or you go back to school, or you go back to earn your money, and then you go and have your beers on the weekend, and we're not gonna, you know, and then you get drunk, and overall it's a huge distraction while you have your energy, you know, while you're younger with enough juice to make some changes. And pretty much that's probably why the music industry exists as it does, is take the youth, to take their power, to take their energy for change, and to listen to someone singing about it. And then in some ways, perhaps your body goes, well, that's enough. I had the feeling of freedom right now, so I can go back to, you know, chasing that lady around the block, or I can go back to, you know, wishing I had, you know, bigger shoes or tighter pants, or whatever it is that people are after, instead of figuring out what your integrity is, why things are working for you, and how to be non-compliant in relation to what's being told about what's possible for you. I guess this is an important meme.
Yes, and so here it says, once we give up our true self to play a role, we are fated to be rejected, because we have already rejected ourselves. And isn't that true? You know, if you're trying to be someone else, if you're trying to comply, and complying is wearing the same fashions, wearing the right makeup, listening to the right music, you know, having the right sign in your hand, right? So that's all complying. That's changing yourself to appease others, right? And of course, when you do this, people think, oh, I'm doing it so other people will like me. How do you know that they like you? And how do you know that they like you because it's the clothes that you're wearing or whatever it is? You don't. So, and like we've just talked about, you know, we've been fooled, right? And they gave us a couple of lines from the 60s, but of course we know that was all a Tavistock Institute, you know, PSYOP, Laurel Canyon, all this kind of stuff. But the Who, right, don't get fooled again. They at least gave us that line. So that's where we've got to, and to not be fooled again, you've got to understand you've been fooled, right? That's the first part.
The world is a world of magic. I mean, I would like to say, without sounding woo-woo, so if you reject yourself, as this meme goes, the world has to reject you. Yeah. Because you are the only arbitrator of your own life and what's acceptable and what's not. So if you've rejected yourself, everything outside of you will have to reflect that. You know, really goes back to the non-compliance. If you want to look at it, and again, I highly recommend Kyron Last's channel. It's going to give you a deeper understanding of why it's super important to pick up your own energy, to see and figure out your own belief system, to determine your own background, to figure out where you've failed and where you've succeeded, and how your life has moved the way you like it to and you don't like it to. And this is all in relation to your own opinion about yourself. So again, there's nobody that can tell you what's good or bad for you. This is something we all have to determine. And by determining that, we become self-determined, and then we become non-compliant, and then we can make our own lives. And as much as I think the truckers fighting for freedom is fine, and people telling the politicians to F off and all those other things, that's great. But unless they're also looking at changing their inside world, once the trucks go home and the microphones go off, you're going to be sitting with who you were in the first place. And if you've rejected yourself, again, as this meme goes, that's not going to change. Even if your politicians change their pants or their beard or their location or their, or they've dropped 6 of the mandates, but have kept 6 others, right? And whatever, it's you don't change yourself. You don't change your own diaper. You don't change your own pants, and I mean face and bottom diapers, we'll say. They're going to stay dirty and they're going to stink. It doesn't matter what someone else is telling you.
I just got a picture when you were talking, and it's literally what they do, right? Like you've got the leader, right, standing behind his desk, and we want to change, and they just pass him a new mask. You can imagine he's holding a mask up, blah blah blah. We want to change, and he puts that mask, gets another one. It's just looks different, but it's the same crap, right? It's the same crap, and this has been going on forever. And what we've got to keep in mind is what happened in the 60s, right? That was a natural awakening was happening, and it was subverted, right? And we went from 1969, 1970, the hippie movement, Woodstock, to 1972. Suddenly everyone's on cocaine doing disco. How did that happen so fast, right? What's happening now, right? There's convoys everywhere, and even though we're made to think this is being censored, this is still getting out, right? Avi Yamini and Aussie Cossack, who are 2 of the biggest sort of channels from Australia that are covering this kind of stuff, they're putting videos up everywhere about this convoy stuff. And there's a few around, but yeah, so they're letting this info out. So again, we've got to be careful to not get caught up. Like we said before, what's the end result here? What do we really want? We don't want to get caught up and go rah rah, yay yay, us yay truckers, woohoo, we're so cool. And then what happens in 2 weeks? I mean, seriously, what happens in 2 weeks if there's no change? Is everyone just going to stay another month, or is everyone going to go home? Because if everyone goes home, guess what? Nothing changed.
Maybe everyone can look at where have you been the last 10 or 20 years that allowed these governments to get into power? What have you been doing with your time? Where have you been voting with your dollars? What have you been doing with your job? What have you been doing? Like truckers are great. What have you been delivering? Right? People that are making food are great. What kind of food are you offering people? I mean, these are some of the hardest questions you may have to look at. But if you're a trucker trying to pay the bills and you're delivering Chinese plastic toys that are making people stupid, let's say, I'm not going to point, I mean, what are you doing to make your living? And yes, you have a family, and yes, you have to mortgage, and yes, you got to pay your bills, and yes, Jimmy's got to eat, and Sissy has to go to university one day, or does she? Does she? Yeah, exactly. And so, what's the bottom line in what you've been doing, and what are you trying to get back to? And most people don't want to look there because, as this meme says, and I'm going to put myself on the top there, I had to see I was full of shit. I was completely, like, a few years ago, I had to sit and go, man, everything I believed, all the ideas I had about relationships myself, even what's money, what's healthy, what's not, was dead wrong, was really wrong, and from there I grew up and I got to see how to be right. Of course, lots more to go, but I had to see that, and you could say it's your fault, you could say it's society's fault, but if we let ourselves get filled up with bullshit, we get the governments we deserve. As they say, we have the leaders we asked for, and look back and see, well, what were you doing when you saw, when you smelled the shit coming, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and you turned the other cheek and went out for a movie and a beer instead.
Of course, don't get triggered, guys. We do not condone violence, especially against women. It's just a picture, but it's to convey something that people, to put it bluntly, most people are full of shit. They just are. They will spend their time trying to convince you that there's someone different than who they really are. And it's back to this facading thing. It's back to people are living externally. And when you live externally, you're being led, right, by an external force. You're not making the decisions. And this, until, we get to the go inside and get to the core of who we are, then we're going to be full of shit. We're going to be taking in other people's opinions right? And then regurgitating them as fact. And this is the problem. This is what people do. And of course, then when they've had the paid, had the privilege to pay $200,000, to get that information from a certain book, and they get their little letters they can put behind their name, then they're invested, right? Then they will fight for the facts that they got from this book, which is probably someone's opinion. And of course, they get put up on the pedestal as an expert, and everyone goes, "Oh, that must be the truth." It's all based on nothing, most of it. And this is what we've got to understand. Like all of this stuff, when I say history is a lie, and I mean it, I mean all of it, guys. I mean the books that we read, everything. It just is.
If you look at this picture, a good way to put it, the one we were just at, and you see where supposedly this is obviously from the 60s or 50s, an old book where supposedly men were violent to women and it was okay at the time. And you look at modern books and like I read tons of stories and watch all these modern movies where women are violent to men now.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Right. So, so you're being lied to both times, right? It wasn't good to be violent then. It's not good to be violent now. And we're just being played against each other from whoever's running the script behind the scenes to fuck ourselves, if you'll pardon my pun. And I shouldn't be swearing, but it is kind of what we're doing. And non-compliance is a way out of that, which is why I mentioned that.
And I mean, just again, look at this picture. The man's in a suit, lady's in a dress. They're in a house. Everything we look at, all the pictures, all the movies, they're all of people in this, society, civilization, with their job, with their house, doing the same as. So even just an advert, right? That's sending you a subconscious message. This is how it is, right? Can't you see? There's a street here with houses next door to each other, and everyone goes to work. That's just what it is. This is how they build, so it's everything, guys. I know people who, I watch TV. I just need to relax for a bit. I just want to switch off. I mean, what does that mean, right? I want to switch off while staring at TV programming. Switching off. What does that mean? Theta, beta, different brainwaves, easier to, put their program into it. This is madness. TV, yeah. So, what are we really doing, guys? There's all this talk, there's all this stuff, but at the core, where's it going? You can't be half on the train. You can't be, sort of hanging off the train, because you'll get smashed in half when you hit it, when you go to a pole. You've either got to be on the train and I'm responsible enough to have freedom, or be brave enough to go, I'm not ready. I'm not mature enough. I'm not ready. I'm just going to go and comply. That's your decision. Fine. That's your choice. Don't expect that choice has any effect on me at all, or ever will, because then you're stepping into non-freedom. So I think this the big thing, right? Where are we going? 2 years in, all this stuff. What's the end result going to be? What are the demands? I haven't even heard a demand. What's the demand? My demand would be every single one of you get out of this building and walk off to jail, and that's it. There's no. Yeah.
It's why we're being a bit abstract once again, as on the Odyssey of truth here, because you have to figure what that is. You have to see where you're full of shit or hypocrite, as this one says. And and we're not trying to take punches at people or make you feel bad or vouch for any of the say less than attractive ways that maybe you may have to look at yourself to get beyond. But if you want to heal a wound, you have to look at it. If you want to heal something that's wrong, you have to accept it. It's the first aspect of any sort of change is to understand what needs to change. And it's always, even as Cambell said, it's always you. And, that's not a bad thing, because if you figure out you've got the core of your own success and you've got the core of your own freedom, it's okay to say you don't know what that is. It's okay to say I'm a bit lost now that there's no politicians. It's great to say, well, if I can't go to the supermarket, I don't know how to grow food. What am I going to do next? It's okay to say, my relationship's falling apart because, my ex wants to take the jab and I don't know what to do now. I mean, that's fine, because that's your truth in the moment. You're at least being honest. And from that honest kernel, something will come. You know, there has to be a bit of faith of a mustard seed. If you want to go back to that, you know, if anybody, and I know I've done it, ever looks at a little seed of a plant, you know, don't take it for granted. How does that thing grow into what it grows into? Right? How does a pitch grow into a fruit tree? You know, how, and you're going, you know, oh, that's just a seed and it's got all the DNA and it just grows up, and you put it and you give it some water and soil, and, you know, and that's it. And you give it some more fertilizer, but like, what's going on? You know, maybe it's good to get back to the wonder of being alive, and then you can get back to the wonder of yourself, and you can see how non-compliance is actually a magical act, not just a kind of F you, I'm going to run the other way act. It's more of a essential ingredient in personal salvation and freedom.
Of course, right? I mean, it's the tree that's growing out, you know, the side of a cliff, you know, halfway up, that people go and go, wow, look at that. And they take photos. They don't go into a forest and like pick a tree among 1,000 other trees and go, that tree, let's take photos. It's the one that's non-compliant, that's doing what it looks like it's doing what it shouldn't be doing, right? It's out there on its own. It's forging something new. And asking questions, it's going back to what Lorenzo said, that's, if you're not asking questions, you know, if you think you have the answers, then you're stuck. You're stuck. As soon as you think you have the answers, you know, it's like the know-it-alls, right? People who know everything are clearly the most stupid people that you'll ever meet. And again, right, it sounds like an oxymoron, but think about what I'm saying. If you know everything, can you learn anything? No. So if you can never learn anything, how smart are you? You're not.
I'm going to take a picture.
You're stupid.
I'm going to take a picture and bring it to you fellows. You know, if not here, I'll put it up on maybe our Oddyssey channel of what Cambell said. I saw a huge tree yesterday growing out over a lake, and it's growing out of a wall, and it's enormous, right? And it's growing horizontal instead of vertical. And I can imagine if someone said to that tree, you can't grow there. What are you doing? There's no space over there. You know, it's impossible. It was a brick wall here and there's water over there, and it was flowering and everything. When I saw it yesterday, it's kind of warm here in Japan. And I was looking at it going, you know, and I'm sitting there, as Cambell said, it's not the tree in the forest I'm looking at. I'm sitting there going, how did you do that? You know, where are your roots? What's going on? Who told you you couldn't do this? And there you are by itself in the middle of a lake, kind of growing out to one side, big and beautiful and strong. How it did it, it chose to do it. You know, it was non-compliant.
Yep. And it chose every day to keep going. You know, it didn't sort of grow out, you know, for a year and then go, oh God, this is a bit hard holding on here.
It's a bit hard.
You know, like give it up. It's like, I'm going. Look at me go. Yeah, you don't think I can do this? Guess what? Now I'm going to flower. Haha, take that.
I'm going to flower. Yeah.
All right. That's the miracle. That's, you know, that's the abundance. That's the everything, right? The joy, that's what this life is about, that kind of stuff. It's not about compliance. Compliance is just leads to a grey world, right? That's it. I don't like grey worlds. I'd rather everyone be different, doing their own things, different societies and cultures and ideas, which is completely the opposite of what is going on now. And I've got to say, you know, we've really got to look at what we're doing. People who vote in politicians and political parties, I mean, in reality, they deserve everything they get. They really do. And another thing, and, you know, if this pisses you off, excuse my French, sorry, French, they always get blamed for swearing. You know, everything, you know, is our fault. If we're compliant and we're going along with this system, and the system, you know, says, well, you know, now you have to do this. Well, bad luck. That if you're going to go along with it, that's your fault. We need to really understand what the deal is here and go in a different direction, because sitting around singing Kumbaya and going, oh, well, you know, I feel really good now. And look, oh, sad guru told me this and this. And like I said before, where's the results? You know, you can sing Kumbaya and you wake up the next day and you're like, oh, that was great. That was great. And then you look around and you go, oh, crap, this stuff again. Oh, let's get through the day. And at the end of the night, oh, let's sing Kumbaya again. Oh, look, see, it's all great. It's all great. 20 years you're in the same spot. Well, actually, you're in a worse spot. And so, you know, it's anarchy, right? It's all this kind of stuff. It's seeing that we're the problem. We are. If people are voting politicians in, they're voting for the system. You know, if people are saying, give me back my job, you're asking for slavery. Who pays you? Who tells you when you can go to lunch? Who tells you how much you can earn an hour? This is slavery. We've just all got to grow up. And again, you know, like we've probably made more mistakes than anyone, but this is the thing.
Yes.
Until you can look and go, well, I stuff's up there. How do I get a different result? Then you're stuck. You know, unless you're true, you know, honest with yourself, you're never going to be yourself, I guess, is what it is, are you? And if you're not yourself, you know, how can you be anyone else? This is the thing. The only person you can be good at being is you. So be you. And, you know, understand, you know, if you're going along with the plan, you're wearing a mask, you're saying, oh, maybe, you know, just to get through because I need my paycheck. Well, you're compliant. Yeah.
No, I'm not saying maybe you have to wear a mask tricky. If you got to take a plane one day, that's fine. Like, as long as you're not doing it for the wrong reasons, right? If you have to be tricky is great. You know, I think being, you know, you don't want to go up to a cop and kick him in the head and, you know, you're going to start a fight, even if he's doing the wrong thing, because you kind of know what's coming. You know, probably you'll have a bad day or a bad couple of days. So, you know, I'm not advocating that you do stupid things, but there are smart, intelligent ways to live up to what you feel is right for yourself, to what you feel you need to require. I mean, if you've got to do a stupid job for a little while you're figuring out how to write that book, you know, how to start your own business, how to get to your own farm, oh, it's great. You know, then you're using the system. The system's not using you. So there's a big difference. If you have to use the system to get to where you want to go, why not? You know, I've done it. I think you should do it. That's what it's there for. You know, if you use the politicians, you have to use the rules, you have to use things for a moment, as long as you don't get stuck there. As long as you don't say, I have no choice, this is my life now. It's more like, okay, here's this thing challenging me. I'm going to use it for a moment while I'm holding with one hand, while I swing to the next tree, whatever that is for you, you know, whether you're growing something or doing something or writing something or creating something, a new country, you know, a new farm, a new whatever, a new technique for being alive, to how to heal. You know, we've made a huge mess. You know, there's got to be as much work that's possible out there to clean up this mess as there was the work that was given to us by government to make this mess. You know, we destroyed our manufacturing base in North America. You know, we've destroyed our schooling base with the schools. We've destroyed our health by listening to their pyramid of garbage. You know, you've destroyed your the other side of your health by listening to the medical system. And that was a lot of work from a lot of people to bring us here. So, you know, the entrepreneurial potential for the time right now is huge for finding new ways to do things that everyone requires. And the demand for freedom, in my opinion, has never been higher.
Yeah. I'm here to tear the system down. I mean, yeah. I mean, that's just it. If you want change, then things have got to change, right? For things to change, things have to change. If you change a leader, you're not changing anything. That's changing an actor. And here we go. Fearlessness is the first requisite of spirituality, because cowards can never be moral, because cowards can't stand on their own 2 feet. They have to follow the crowd. So nothing that they do is moral. And that's what all these, you know, idols, right? And stars, interesting words, that we get put up in front of us, all these actors and musicians and politicians and, you know, bloody doctors and all this kind of crap now. You know, they're all put up there, follow these people. This is the truth. But yeah, I mean, you got to stand on your own 2 feet. If you say something is wrong, you got to stand up for it. I mean, we got kids watching us, right, at the moment. You know, this is history, really, with all this stuff going on. But again, where's it leading? Where are the leaders? What are they asking for? This is the problem. And we don't want to be downers, guys. We're not trying to be downers. I really think that everyone should be putting good energy into this, but we need to, you know, get sorted. What are the demands? And this is a thing as well. It's got to be, well, actually, it's not even, you know, a demand is still asking. You know, all this stuff of asking and give us our freedom. What does that even mean? I mean, that doesn't mean anything. Give us our freedom. We want freedom. I mean, you're either free or you're not. That's it. If you get 100,000 people and they know they're free and they're sovereign and they decide to march into whatever building, they just will. Nothing will be able to stop them. but everyone still sees, and I don't know, I've got so many issues with what's going on. Oh, just be nice to the police. They're on our, no, they're not on our side. Okay, this has been 2 years. So the police that are police now have either been doing this for 2 years, going along with it, seeing the results of what they're doing and taking their paycheck and going, I don't care, or they've been employed within the last 2 years. Right? They've been brought in and they've gone, yep, I'll sell my soul to repress my countrymen. That's what they're doing. These people do not deserve respect at all. Like they do, they should be just, you know,
ignored. Let's say ignored.
They just ignored, exactly.
Sweetest way to do this, just ignored.
Just,
you know, anybody that wants to take a job telling someone else what to do, you know, sure, I'm not saying they're not nice police people and they're not nice people in the army, not nice, but you know, the bottom core of the fact is, you know, there were probably nice people in all kinds of bad places over the course of history, and that doesn't really, at the bottom, make you a nice person. Makes you at best a coward that's doing something to make some money because you can't think of another way to make a living.
Yeah.
You know, at worst, you like telling people what to do. And at best, you go, I have no other idea or no other options, whether you're a police guy making their 75 grand a year, or supposedly those people giving tickets in Canada, making $70,000 a year, giving fines for not wearing masks. You know, if you look at their salaries, yeah, they're making obscene amounts of money, you know, where other people are starving. And so, you know, they're not nice, really.
They're not.
They're
on our side.
They're taking their money, and they're taken because, you know, because they've been paid good salaries, and they're listening to the rules simply to get paid, to be honest. Let's be honest here. So we really have to look at building a system where moral fortitude and integrity and non-compliance get paid. Right? And sometimes you got to start by paying yourself first.
Yeah. I mean, if you think you've got no choice, that's your fault. Okay. That's on you. You're not looking enough. You're not trying hard enough. You're blaming. And what you're doing is creating a world that you don't want to be in. That's just it. You know, stand up. And this, this is a system thing, you know, like Terence McKenna said, you know, society is not your friend. And it's not, because society is the system. It's all the people doing these jobs, enforcing rules, you know, educating your children, right? Look what's going on in America with all this wokeness. You want those people educating your children? Health, food, right? This has got nothing to do with what's good for us. This has got to do with people making money and control. And of course, we know if they cared about our health, right?
Yeah.
Bottle shops and McDonald's have never shut down in the last 2 years.
Yeah, they care about your health. It's obvious they don't. So you see the hypocrisy of things. You know, again, you don't got to fight it. You just got to notice where the information is coming from, where the rules are coming from. You know, you know, maybe you're eventually like that 18-year-old that doesn't listen to their parents anymore. You go, you know, I'm an adult now. I don't have to take your advice on what I should be doing, where I should be going, who I should be spending my time with, who I should be marrying or not, where I should be living. Well, I'm old enough to make choices for myself in relation to what my parents told me when I was growing up. Most people outgrow, you know, the need for being told what to do from their parents eventually. Maybe some never do, but I would say most do in one way or all the ways. And perhaps this society could simply be looked on in that perspective. You know, you've grown up. You're at a place now where you need to, you know, figure out wisdom for yourselves, as the meme on the screen says. No one can give you that wisdom. Quite by definition, wisdom is something that has to be earned through your day-to-day actions and finding out for yourself what feels like it's something you want to do more of or do less of.
And when you know, find out who you are and what you want, and you start walking that path, you might end up like this tree. You know, the society doesn't like us. Because our existence is a threat to society. We can see through the lie. So when we stand up, they like to throw lightning bolts at us. So, you know, this is the thing, keep that in mind. If that's a problem, then you're not being true to yourself. You know, we need to stand up no matter what's going on and stand true to ourselves. You know, I went shopping. We got mask mandates in Perth. I went shopping the other day. I've never, ever worn a mask. Some people in their cars are wearing them now, people walking down the street. I just walked straight into a shopping centre, did my shopping, no one looked at me, walked out. Now I could have gone, oh man, what's going to happen? Oh, it's going to be uncomfortable. What if something, oh, maybe I should just, or I could have just walked in like I'm a human who is allowed to breathe. You know, and the more of us that do that, because not one other person there was unmasked, not one, which is a bit disappointing, right? It just shows that, you know, we are in the minority, but it's just little things like that. Like I haven't voted in the last 3 elections because I do not comply. Right? I don't want any of these jokers in there, and they don't get my energy. So little things like that. If you're voting every year just because you don't want the system to send you a bloody fine, guys, you're complying. This is all about growing up. You know, I think we've been harping a lot and ranting a bit, but you know, we are at the place now where this is it. We can make a lot of change here, a lot of proper change, or we can blow this completely and end up in a worse situation. Because if this truck thing, if this goes bad, you think they're not going to use it to bring in more laws on the roads to prevent this happening again? You know, suddenly it'll be, well, you can't drive behind another truck. And if you do, we'll fine you because that's a convoy. I mean, seriously, this is what they'll do. So this is where we are, guys.
And even if they don't, you know, if you're alone on a road one day and you've got your integrity and your strength and your moral fortitude, you've got it all and you can figure it out for yourself. You know, and you don't have to fight, but you have to learn to be strong. You could be tricky. I'll give a short story of a short example. You know, a census in Canada, when I used to live there, was mandatory. And they kept coming back to the house where I was. And I kept telling them to bugger off. And they kept telling me they're going to, you know, they have to. And they kept telling me to bugger off and they're going to fine me. So when they came back the 3rd time, you know, they go, how many people live here? 12. You know, how many? 4 children, 2 to 8, you know, and my grandmother's living upstairs. And this lady took all my advice down. Of course, it was all BS garbage. And she goes, thank you so much. I go, no problem. Anytime, come back, you know. And so, you know, so instead of fighting the system and maybe having the challenges, you know, so you have to be smart on how you don't comply as well. You have to find a sense of humor. You have to realize, well, you know, we go back to one of those first things. Sense of humor is important. Intelligence is important. Being tricky in some ways is important. And I have to say, it's a lot of fun when you figure out how to do it for yourself, because you don't have to get into a bloody fist fight to make changes. You just have to get into that bloody fist fight, I think, with yourself that won't allow you to change. And then maybe you can figure things out from there.
Yeah, change the inside and the outside changes too. And just blast off, right? Don't wait for it. This is nothing is, if you need a group and a crowd to go with you, again, you're going with the crowd, right? You know, this is all, you've got to stand on your own 2 feet and walk your own path, and you will find that people will just start popping up. You know, you will meet the people that are going in the same direction. Because a lot of us, you know, a lot of people going through, you know, relationships are changing, right? A lot of friends are being lost, family stuff, all over this jibby jab and people's, you know, opinions. But this is the thing, if you're so you know, weak, right? I mean, that's the word. If you're so weak that you have to change who you are to make others happy, then you're doing everyone a disservice. You're stopping you knowing yourself. You're stopping the world knowing yourself, because we're all a piece of the puzzle. And I know we said this has been a little bit maybe not so fun, but this, to me, it's always fun. Like, that's the fun. Like you know, get in the system and use the system against itself. See what you can do. Be a bug, right? Get in there and hack the system. There's so many things you can do. I know some people were taking photos. You know, everyone's supposed to scan into shops. So some people started taking photos of the, whatever they're called, those little square things like QR codes. And they were sending them around the world to people in different countries. And those people were scanning into them. And so this system is like, now it's got people from that shouldn't, you know, from different countries saying that they're going into this shop, little things like that just stuff up the system, give them the wrong information. You know,
I said, you know, if you need a pass that says you've had a vaccine to go somewhere, don't fight it. If you want to, maybe find a doctor who will lie for you. There's so many ways around these things. Yeah. You know, the system in the AI, it's not so smart. It's easy to trick. You know, there's no intelligence really behind it. Just a lot of brute bullying.
Yeah.
angry force. So we're smarter than that. If we choose to be, we can figure out a way around it. If we choose to, we can do what we need to do. If we choose to, you have to be your own superhero, as this meme shows. Don't wait for others. Figure it out for yourself, and they'll see you're having so much fun. They're going to want to come along with you.
Yeah. Exactly. That's the way to do it. You walk the path, and people will see you. You don't have to sit there going, come on, guys, come on. I've got this idea and you guys need to do it with me. No, they don't. Because you're now taking away their choice. And this is how we've got to look at it, guys. If you don't want the government to take away your choice, don't take away anyone else's, because we get what we give. Give freedom, you'll get freedom. But you give, restriction, stop complaining. Responsibility. So there we go. I think we've been ranting and rumbling a lot there, but it's a very, like where we are now is really a very pivotal point, and I'd like to see this go the right way. I'd like to see all these people taken off in handcuffs. Don't listen to any of their words, because we know all they do is lie. Why would you listen to anything they say? Yeah.
Even if they don't get taken off into handcuffs and they're left in their own lives, it'll be horrible because they're horrible. They have to wake up with themselves and go to sleep with themselves. They have to have the relationships they have. They have to eat the food they have, whether they're real or monsters or archons or fifth dimensional entities or just fat, lazy people next door, whatever. If you live free and you figure out your own life, the rest really will fall to the wayside and do what it needs to do. Make your life. Don't let anyone stand in your way, of course. Don't let anyone do anything bad to you. We're not saying you should allow anyone to trample you. If you got to pick up a stick one day, you got to pick up a rock because coming at your family or your son, then you got to do what you got to do as a man or a woman looking after their own, and I would applaud it. And if that's the case, and that's what you're faced with. But if you keep consistently being faced with that, maybe it's time to move, or maybe it's time to find a new job, maybe it's time to find new friends or a new family or new parents or whatever, a new way to be alive, and learn from your mistakes, learn from what feels good. Make your own choices, fly free, don't wait for others, and you'll meet other people along the way. Cambell is. I find people every day that I never knew existed that are doing what we're doing, and they may not be next door. They may not even be within 100 miles, when I go for a walk. They may not be even in the same country, but it doesn't really matter. Heroes will walk their own path in their own way, and they'll do what they want to do. They're not going to care about anything else. And eventually, you'll find your tribe, as they say. You'll vibe with your tribe. I don't want to sound granola, but the world will help you out, even if your tribe is a tribe of, awake rabbits slapping each other high five like the beginning here. You never know. For me, a lot of my tribe are just the flowers that grow with me, or the trees that laugh at the folly of humans. But hey, for me, that works.
And definitely, be in your own tribe. Make sure you're in there too, right? A lot of people sort of forget that bit, I think. And avoid the word but. Your dreams are whatever you want. You can create it. You can't create it, but you can just create it. So, that but thing is thinking about the system. I can create it, but the system, no.
And so if anyone has any questions from this, anyone has any suggestions, I know a million books. Cambell knows a million websites and a million YouTube videos. I know some myself. I do In Love Unlimited Love Coaching. newagora.ca has tons of information. Cambell's Hub is going up there any moment now. The New Now, we're all going to be in this together. I'm there. Cambell's there. There's at least a dozen other people coming to join us. There's always a way to figure out how to be free if you choose to be free. There's work. We have our freedom shift. There's jobs if you want to change. There's ways to be alive. There's support. There's coaching. There's counseling. There's suggestions. There's laughing. There's nothing but help. So if anybody out there is listening and goes, but, as Cambell said, but, we can figure it out together. So if anybody has any serious, intelligent questions, suggestions, or participations, and I'm going to underline, capitalize, and bold the word intelligent, let us know. We can do our best to point you in a direction that maybe by your own understanding and your own choice is good and helpful to you.
Definitely. Yeah. If you're looking for something, looking for a change, just feel the calling, whatever, let us know. There may be something for you. But of course, this is all about, people putting in their own work to create their own futures. And, we're all a piece of the puzzle. We're all got ideas, but yeah, this is definitely about everyone putting in effort, not having what we've got at the moment, right? With government, a few at the top that seem to do everything.
And our next one, at that last note of Cambell's phone going off, if that was the phone, this is number 1 for our Odyssey of Truth. Well, it's actually number 5 of 2022, or the first one we've done. The second one's going to be Getting Out of the Matrix. We're going to put that one together next. We're going to go a little deeper and how to unplug. For those of us that might be saying, how do I do that? At least we'll give you our examples and our opinions, and those of others that have successfully, by their own understanding of being successful, done that. And once again, we appreciate you here on this Odyssey, this odd Odyssey of Truth. I'm going to read one thing. If I have 1 minute, Cambell, I found a great definition of truth from Vernon Howard. I've shared a lot of his stuff. So while you're looking at the phone, I'm going to read it to the good folks here. The truth is warm, kindly, healthy. It is something you feel independent of friends and environment. You know it all by yourself. The truth inspires because it connects what is real in you with what is real in the universe. The truth is all you really need because it includes everything you really need, which you can know by experience. The truth inspires because it is the truth. There you go.
Yeah, we feel the truth. We do. And we feel the lies. So, guys, go inside. Thanks for spending some time with us. Like Lorenzo said, there's links below. If you want to have a chat, if you've got some ideas, do contact us. Of course, join the Telegram group, have a chat, get involved. And because this is all about coming together, making groups and having intention and moving in a different direction, right, than the direction that the system is trying to push us. So,
hey, blast off.
Amazing week. Yep, it's time to blast off in your direction. Work out what that is first before you start running, or you might fall off a cliff. So go inside first, and then you'll have the answers. Get out there and work. And we'll be back in a week or so with how to get out of the matrix, right? So get your pickaxes ready and your diamond cutters, and we're looking for a door. We'll be back with some more tips. So leave us a like, a comment. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Share this content around if you think it will be helpful to others. And of course, stay on the odd journey of truth. And we'll talk to you all on the next upload. Bye for now.
Bye.